Welcome to the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. This is your go-to resource for personal growth, mastering communication, and influencing and persuasion techniques that will help you unleash the full potential of yourself and others. Here is your host, Alex Morgan.
Have you ever walked away from a conversation with your heart racing or your palms sweaty, and you were certain that someone was judging you, only to find out later that they were just having a bad day? Or have you ever felt convinced you were failing, even when all the signs pointed to success? Here's the truth. Sometimes what you're experiencing isn't your actual reality. It's your mind's unconscious preferences and showing you that version of it. So the difference between reacting to perception and reacting to reality, this can change your relationships, your confidence, your business, your career, your whole entire life. So today on this episode, we're going to unpack some different reasons why your experience might be lying to you and how to really focus on what is actually true and not just react to that. You can respond in a way that will bring you what you want. My name is Alex Morgan, and I'm a master trainer of hypnosis and NLP, so welcome to this episode. I think it's going to be a really interesting one, and I'm sure if you're listening, you're an intelligent person, so let's go ahead and get right to it. Because just because you feel it doesn't mean it's real. So your perceived reality, depending on who you're talking with, this can completely change. So the idea is to set the intention how internal and external factors can distort this perception, and why, if you're really conscious of how you start to respond, then this can actually help you change your unconscious responses in the future, because how you're responding now is unconscious. And that makes sense because 95 to 99% of what we do is unconscious. So the first reason that what you're experiencing might not be completely real or completely what you think it is. Another reason that this really matters is everyone inside of them has a certain map of the world. My map of the world is going to be different from your map of the world. And your map of the world is going to be different from your friends, your family, your colleagues. So that's why sometimes when you see something a certain way, someone sees it completely different. However, who's to say that your map of the world is even the true reality? Because if I'm speaking to you and I'm telling you about my map of the world, maybe that doesn't even make complete sense to you. So it all depends on who we're interacting with. So one of the reasons that you might not be experiencing the real reality, and I think this one's really important, is emotional filters. Now, the reason that this matters so much is because the unconscious mind, it's the domain of our emotions. It also organizes our emotions. So if I were to tell you to remember a time you were totally confident, all those feelings of confident would be filed together in this big data storage bin, the unconscious mind. Joy would be all together, even anger, anxiety, sadness, happiness, curiosity, excitement. So all of these would be batched together in the data storage bin, that's the unconscious mind. Now, when you think about it, though, have you ever been around someone that had really strong emotions? They were going crazy. They started having all sorts of anger. Or have you ever been around someone and they had a really, really positive emotion? They were totally motivated. Now, don't you see how this could totally influence your reality? In fact, if we want to influence our reality or someone else's reality, Two, we can do that by our internal state. So any strong, intense, really associated emotion that you're in where you're just totally focused on something, you can manipulate in a good way so everyone wins. You can influence and persuade people based off of your emotions. So that's why this emotional filter that we all have, it may not be the true reality. For example, when you're really, really anxious, or maybe you know someone that's really, really anxious, and they're like, why hasn't this person messaged me back? Or did you see what this person wrote to me? Look at this message that someone sent to me. And maybe they show it to you, and you're thinking, that's not even that bad. What's going on? What are they talking about? So that negative emotion that they have is distorting their reality. Who's to say, though, that what you say is the real reality? Because maybe you don't even know the person that's messaging them. So you're basing it off of your reality and not theirs. So we need to take all the information into account. And another reason is because our mind, we also have the fight or flight response. So that's there, of course, to protect us. And a lot of these emotions we have, positive and negative, they're here to protect us. So it makes sense if something is protecting you and your mind is biologically hardwired to do this. Don't you think that that could actually distort your reality? So when there's an emotion there, you need to ask yourself, if it's your emotion, how did I decide to create this? And this will have you thinking about, did you create this reality? Did someone else create this reality? What's going on exactly at this moment? I was speaking to someone yesterday, and they told me, what happens when you maybe aren't so much in the middle? You go down a bit, or you go up a bit in your emotions. You're going so high into abundance, or you might sink lower. And I said, I pretty much ask myself this question. How did I decide to create this? Because I'm the creator of my reality. You're the creator of your reality. So if I'm thinking, something's off, what's not going on here? I ask myself, how did I decide to create this? Because really, my reality, it's up to me. Whether or not it's completely real and everything that I want yet, or maybe it has some things that I don't want because I haven't got everything that I want yet, at least I know that I have the power to change it. So even though you have these emotions, and these emotions might have you thinking, this isn't the reality that I want, you can change it. You can take your personal power back, and then you can create whatever it is that you want, because you're 100% responsible for your mind and your results. And I'm 100% responsible for my mind and my results. So that's really one of the first things that people need to think when they want to achieve things that they haven't achieved yet, is 100% responsibility for everything that you're doing. So emotional filters can have you experiencing all different types of reality. And you need to decipher what's real, what's really going on here, what's just a thought because of how I'm reacting or responding, what's just a thought that I'm having, or in this situation of reality, is there just a bunch of noise that I can completely ignore? So you can take this into account in any situation, but especially with emotional filters. What's real? What's a thought? And what's noise? So when you have an emotion and you start to react or respond to your reality, really we want to respond. Reacting, it's going to be much more unconscious. Responding, we can gather our thoughts for a bit, and then we can respond. However, when you respond, you need to ask yourself, am I really responding to the real reality? And you'll find the more you ask yourself this question and how you decided to create your reality, you'll see that you'll start to create what you want. So the second reason that's really big is past experiences, past traumas, past memories, all of this. All of this is programmed in our mind, and that's how we make our decisions. That determines the emotions that we feel. This determines a lot of our unconscious preferences. So the past that we have becomes a lens that you can unconsciously apply to the present. Now, with some of the work that I do, when I want people to really feel the emotions that they want to feel, that they, for whatever reason, haven't accessed for a while, or let's say someone needs a boost of confidence before they do a presentation, before they do a sales call, before they talk to their date, before they're around their family, whatever it is. You can think of a time in the past that you were totally confident, look through your own eyes, see what you saw, hear what you heard, and really feel the feelings of confidence. And then when you really feel that, you can press your finger to one of your knuckles. And then when you don't feel that anymore, you let go. That anchors that feeling of confidence to your knuckles. So if you press your knuckle in the future, you're going to feel that. So that's a way to take resources from the past into the present so that anytime in the future, you can use them. So if people have past experiences and they're focusing on the more traumatic things, that's probably not their real reality, because remember, you can change your reality. So you can do what I just said. You can begin to anchor different states, and this will start to change your reality. That's one way to do it. Another common example of something like this is someone basing their reality off past experiences or past traumas, is they may see all kinds of triggers that recreate a sense of some sort of fear or threat, trying to protect themselves, trying to go for safety, when it isn't even real today. So let's say that you used to be in a relationship and certain things triggered you, and now you're single or now you're in a new relationship. Now, if those things are still triggering you, chances are, guess what? It doesn't have to do with any of the people that you're currently around. It has to do with how you felt with that other person. So your past experiences are still triggering you in the present, even if that person isn't around. Another example is, let's say someone is having rejection and they're really sensitive to this due to fear of abandonment, for example. So they're going to take that strategy, they're going to take that program in their mind, and they're going to apply it to their current reality. However, is that really true? Are the people around them now really trying to abandon them? Probably not. They can have a conversation with them and ask. So these are a few examples of how past experiences show us that probably our reality isn't actually real. Now, if you think about it, I was actually having a conversation with someone about this too. They were talking about, what if I were to, meet my past self, or how do people really know who they're meeting now? It's kind of interesting to consider this with reality. And it got me thinking. I told them, well, I met someone recently, a friend, and I was like thinking, if this person would have met me 1 year ago, 2 years ago, they would have met a completely different person. That would have been a completely different reality that I was in, and they would have seen from me. So it got me thinking, if someone wants to meet the real me, they would want to meet me right now. All the other stuff that happened was past experiences, other emotions, but I've learned a lot from these experiences. So now this is the real reality. So it's interesting to think, like, how many past selves did you have? How many different realities did you create in the past that are currently not even real? Probably all of them, because you have probably different beliefs, different values, different unconscious preferences. These things change over time depending on what you're going through. Because, for example, when we're born, we're just surviving. We're relying on other people. Then we start to get into family relationships. We start to automate that. Then we start to automate different things around our work. Then we start to maybe automate different things in our business, making money, networking, things like this. However, if you're in a relationship now and you're trying to create a reality with someone and you never automated building a family relationships and things like this, it's going to be difficult. So your past experiences, if you never dealt with them, then chances are things in the future may be kind of difficult to automate. So you want to automate as much as possible so your reality then becomes automated. So the third one is projection. Now, if you think about it, sometimes what we see in others is what we're feeling ourselves. And you can be pretty sure about this because if you're around a person and this person is causing you or making you to have negative emotions, I'm sure you've heard someone say, that person makes me so angry. Now, if that's happening, then chances are it's a projection. It's something inside of you that you have to resolve. So just think about it. If you see something or hear something, feel something because of something some other person is doing, you can ask yourself what I said in the first one. How did I decide to create this? For example, let's say someone is insecure. Now, feeling that insecurity may lead that person to assuming that others are judging them. So they're hearing people say things and they think, oh my gosh, they're judging me. Why are they doing that? Why are they judging me? When probably that's not the real reality. That's not the other person's intention at all. So if we're projecting, you can ask yourself, how did I decide to create this? Or you need to resolve that limiting belief, that negative emotion that's inside of you. And if you need help, that you can reach out to me. All my information will be in the description of this episode, this audio. So there's tons of examples. Just think about it. I'm sure you've been around someone and they think everyone's out to get them, or they think everyone's mad at them. This just means that they have something, or they're scared of all kinds of things. This just means that they have something inside of themselves to resolve. Doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them. They just have a bit of skew in their reality. And maybe you do with this person. Maybe you think they're overreacting. So then you need to check yourself. Are you overreacting to something? A lot of ways to see the projection too and to fix the mirror is a lot of people when they're looking for new things in their reality. They want to have new things, new experiences, new relationships, all of this. You need to ask yourself, what is it that I'm not doing? If I'm not getting those things, what am I not committing to? And you'll find that as soon as you fix that, you'll start bringing the things that you want into your reality. So consider, is your reality actually real? Is this what you're experiencing? Or is there something that you want to change in your reality? I'm sure that you can easily consider this because you are an intelligent person. So definitely share this with someone who will benefit. If you haven't already, go ahead and rate the podcast wherever you are listening. I really appreciate everyone who does listen and is sharing this with other people. It's really good to hear that when people tell me that they're sharing this with people that they know. So thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you on the next episode.